Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of YouTube Take, all NFL preview. I am Big Red 310 here with my guest at this moment.
Nightmare 10, Nightmare 88 on Twitter, or as they call me, the Skip Bayless of YouTube. I'll own the name, but even though I'm totally better than him, but whatever. I'm glad to be back, though, fans. I'm really glad to be back. Fans,
Yes.
walkers, whatever you want to call it.
I'm very glad to be back. And I'm very excited to start talking about football again, and I'm very excited for when me, you, and Marquine can get the band back together, you know?
Yes, for real. I meant to ask you if you were going to get Marquine tonight, but...
I mean, I could have, but we did the college football preview with just him, and I think the way we talked about it, this should be just me and you.
Okay.
So it's clearly separated. So, we're here to talk some NFL. Big game this Thursday, and just a lot of news to talk about. You ready, Phil?
I'm ready. Let's dive right in, man. Let's not waste any time.
All right. So first off, we're going to go with our division by division preview. And first off, Phil, let's start off with our division, the AFC East.
The only division in football.
Of course. And you talk about the teams and what you expect out of your Patriots. Go.
All right, well, I'll end with the Patriots just to build some suspense, I guess. I don't know. I have Buffalo finishing last in this division. I don't know much about E.J. Manuel, but I do know from talking to Marquine, he's not that great. I liked him all right from what I saw against Florida State, but nonetheless, I don't think Buffalo has the pieces. And I don't even think E.J. Manuel's going to start Week 1. I think it's a debate right now between him and Jeff Toole. So if Jeff Toole starts Week 1, there you go. You're 0-1 already, most likely. So because they get my Pats, but I think Buffalo finishes last. I can't really tell you their record necessarily. Probably somewhere around last year. Yeah, I don't think they improve. I think if anything, go down. Which I know it's hard to fathom. Getting a quarterback or whatever. But whatever. I think the Bills finish around where they finished last year, and probably worse. I had the Bills finishing last only because I expect Rex Ryan to do something at least a little bit better than the Buffalo Bills, and I have the Jets finishing before them. The Jets are atrocious. I would not be surprised if the Jets finish last. Like I said, I'm probably giving Rex Ryan more credit. As you've heard on previous podcasts last season, I thought Rex Ryan should have been fired, but I think as this year he should, or he will. So you got Jets, nothing much to say there. Geno Smith, I think, should start. Go out there, send him out there, let him see what he can do. And then if it fails, I guess you could throw in Sanchez, but I would just let Geno Smith ride it out for the year. And then you have the Miami Dolphins, who I think I've learned a lot more about them talking to Big Red, but I've always thought, the Miami Dolphins have always been a team that can, if they're not contenders for playoffs or anything like that, they're going to steal a game from the Patriots. It seems like they always have. Now, last year we went undefeated in the division, but rarely happens. So I like the Dolphins a lot. I think Tannehill is going to be better than he was last year. I think Tannehill is going to be a really good quarterback for them. Could be their quarterback. I don't know. I don't want to go that far. But I don't know as far as record, but I will say this. I would not be surprised to see Miami in the playoffs. I think the AFC wildcard spot, to me, both spots are wide open, to me. We'll see what Big Red thinks, but I just think the wildcard spots are wide open. And we'll see if I decide to put them in the playoffs later, but I got the Dolphins finishing close to 9-7, maybe even 10-6. I haven't really dived into their schedule too much, but I would be shocked to see the Miami Dolphins look strong this year. Of course, I have my Patriots winning the division as always, but there are a lot of questions for us this year. I think the Patriots are going to be tested at all levels this year. I think the defense is just going to get that much better. Obviously, they weren't that great last year, but they've gotten better over each year. So I think the young players are going to step up even more. So we'll see. I don't think there's going to be too much shocker there on defense. We've always been good against the run. We get better and better against the run. On the offensive side, we're going to run more. And if you're a true Patriots fan, you've seen this kind of team before. I think that's going to play this year. You've seen this team before. If you're a bandwagon Patriots fan, you're not going to like this team because this team is not going to play like the all-powered offense that the Patriots usually play like. They'll still be great. They'll still be effective, but it's going to be a different way. I think Danny Amendola could very well just take that spot from Wes Welker and get 80 to 90 catches. I don't know if that's going to happen because can he stay healthy? That's the ultimate question for Danny Amendola. That's the question I have for them. And then who else is going to step up? Because receivers have to step up. You got young guys in Tompkins, Dobson. You still have Julian Edelman. So who's going to step up there? I like Seffield, tight end. He's been doing good in practice from what I hear, from what I've seen. And then Gronk, when is he going to come back? Because we got to have him, and he's got to stay healthy whenever he starts coming back. He's got to stay up for the long haul if we want a chance at a Super Bowl. Now, obviously, I think we made the playoffs regardless, but if we want a chance at the Super Bowl, Gronk's got to play, and other receivers have to step up. So, yeah, I have New England going, winning 10, 11 games. I wouldn't be shocked if they went 10-6 because this is the kind of year they could probably do that, but I think they're going to win 11, 12 games. And that's my view on the AFC East, which is not much different from last year, but I do think the Miami Dolphins have a shot at the playoffs.
All right, my turn. I think very similarly along Phil. I'm going back and forth over who I think is going to win the division between the Dolphins and the Patriots. I think I'm going to go with the Patriots, just because they seem to always get it done. But I am predicting the Dolphins to make the playoffs this year. I think that the rest of the AFC wildcard slot has gotten weaker. I think the Ravens. The Ravens are. There's no argument in the world you can make that they got worse, because at the end of the day they were Super Bowl. Say all you want about how Elvis Dumervil and Michael Huff and all these new guys they got are ballers on defense. At the end of the day, they won the Super Bowl last year. And do you think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year? If you do not, then they are worse than last year. It's as simple as that. Because I've heard a bunch of excuses over the past few weeks that they really haven't lost that much. But last year, their entire starting defense is almost completely gone. Paul Kruger.
Whoa. Can I add something there for a second?
Go for it.
I know we're not talking about the Ravens, but for anyone that thinks they haven't lost anything, they lost their focal point, their franchise player in Ray Lewis. So yeah. And Reed. So the argument
really, I misspoke. It's not really that people are saying they lost anything, that they didn't lose anything, but people are saying they're not going to lose a step, that they're going to just go right back to where they were. But I got to counter that by saying that the entire defense is gone. Paul Kruger, Ray Lewis, Donnell Ellerbe, Ed Reed, Bernard Pollard, Kerry Williams, all left. And I think I'm actually missing someone. And when you get new defenders, even if the new defenders are good, a big part about establishing a defense is team chemistry. And it's one thing when you lose one or two players, but when you lose almost the entire defense, it's a big turnaround. And the reality is Ray Lewis and Ed Reed provided something that is really almost impossible to replace with that locker room leadership. You can make the argument that it's that locker room leadership that got them to the Super Bowl. But they are gone. And I think that means a lot more than people are giving it credit for. I've heard some people say, Ray Lewis was on the decline and all this and that, and Ed Reed's best years are behind him. At the end of the day, those guys were big-time leaders, big time. And do you really have that with Michael Huff? Maybe. We'll see. But I'm just not sure. And yes, obviously signing Elvis Dumervil is a big deal. Broncos are going to absolutely regret what happened with him and the whole Faxgate situation. But offensively, they lost Anquan Bolden, which isn't a huge deal, but it's a deal. He was important for them. Then they lost Dennis Pitta, which I thought was a huge deal. Dennis Pitta got open so many times on the field. He created space for the rest of the receivers. I'm high on Dennis Pitta, really high on Dennis Pitta. He was so reliable on third down, and he's out. That to me is a big deal. Now you got Torrey Smith, you got Jacoby Jones. Jacoby Jones isn't a receiver. He's a kick returner who they occasionally put at the number 2 spot. And now he has to be basically a full-time receiver again. I don't know if he's talented enough to do it. And, we'll see what happens. But
back to the AFC East.
Back to the AFC East. Holy shit.
Yeah, you ran it on the Ravens.
That went a while. Well, I'm just gonna finish. Right. I'm gonna finish with the Ravens, so that way when we get to the NFC North, that part will be established. But I don't think the Ravens are making the playoffs this year. I think they're getting 7-8 wins. Flacco's good, really good. Don't get me wrong, but he lost a lot this year, and I just don't know if the Ravens can overcome all that they lost. So I don't have the Ravens winning the division. I don't have them making the playoffs. I have them going. I'm gonna officially go on the record saying 7-9. So
7-9, okay.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Ravens. Back to the AFC East. Yeah, the Patriots have lost a lot. Not a lot, but they've lost. They lost Welker, and Welker was huge for them.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that.
They lost Welker, and they lost Aaron Hernandez, which another huge disaster, unfortunately. And he was big time for New England. Gronk's hurt, although I thought that was kind of overplayed. It's not like Gronk's out for the year. I mean, yeah,
Right.
is he out for a few weeks? Yeah. But it's not like he's gone the whole year. But Amendola's good. Here's my thoughts with the Patriots offense. They needed that Wes Welker role. Like when they need someone to play that slot role. And if Amendola can just be healthy, I think they'll be fine because I think he's going to put up a bunch of great numbers. But if Amendola gets hurt, I think this team's in real trouble. Not because I think Amendola is like a superstar, but because that position is so important for their offense. And it's not that they needed Wes. They needed someone to play the slot. And if Amendola is healthy, he'll play it as well as Wes did. But if he's not healthy, I mean, he missed 20 games the last 2 seasons. That's pretty incredible. If he's not healthy, that team's in big trouble. Because I think if you look at last year, they had with Wes and Gronk and Hernandez. Gronk's going to come back, and you hope that Zach Sudfeld can play as well, at least sort of well, as Hernandez did. Then you had Brandon Lloyd and Danny Woodhead, but Brandon Lloyd wasn't really a big contributor to them. So I don't think Kenbrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson need to be like superstars. As long as they got Gronk, as long as Gronk gets healthy and Amendola stays healthy, I don't see any reason why they can't win 11 to 12 games, 10 to 11 games. I don't predict them going 12-4. I would say 10-6 or 11-5. I think the Dolphins could go 9-7 to 10-6. But if Amendola gets hurt, I think the Patriots would go 9-7. So I'm not confident. So if Amendola stays healthy, I have them winning the division. If he doesn't, I have them losing the division. It's as simple as that. I'll go quickly. Bills and Jets. Bills, I don't like. They obviously have a need at quarterback. I don't like EJ Manuel. The team got better, but I don't trust them to do much. I actually think they'll be worse than the Jets again because the Jets' defense is just so good. And even as bad as Mark Sanchez or Geno Smith may be, that defense is just so good. That defense keeps them in so many games.
They did lose Revis though. I forgot to mention
Oh my God, yeah, they did lose Revis. But even then, they didn't have Revis last year, and they still won 6 games. You know, I guess they won 2 of them with him, so they won 4 games without Revis. But nonetheless, we'll see how they do. But I think both teams are going to suck. I think both teams will probably draft in the top 5 next year. So interchangeably, you can switch them however you want. I guess I'll put Jets ahead of Bills because they have a better defense. Although the Bills do have a better running back. But, yeah, that's my prediction. Patriots win, then Dolphins and Jets and the Bills. Around game prediction, 11 for the Patriots, 9 for the Dolphins, 5 for the Jets, 4 for the Bills, something like that. Now we'll move on to the AFC West. Phil, lead the way.
Oh, we're going. Okay, AFC West. Well, I think this one's pretty obvious who's going to win this division, so we'll just go ahead and start there. Denver is hands down going to win this division. And I'm actually, even as a Patriot fan, locking the number 1 seed up with Denver. Yeah. I don't think anyone else is going to even compete for the number 1. And that's even New England. I mean, New England would stun me if they could compete for the number 1. Like, that would really stun me. Because, like, that's 14 wins, and I don't think that's happening. But, that being said, I think Denver's great. I think Welker, to me, Denver's only gotten better. They did lose Dumerville, and they'll take a hit there, but to me, and sorry if it sounds like I have something in my mouth and eating Skittles. Anyways, but for me, I think Denver is the best team by far. I think everybody would say that. I made a mistake last year thinking, San Diego could still compete. Well, I'm not gonna make that mistake again. And speaking of San Diego, so we got Denver out the way. I do think Wes Welker. I want to say this. I don't know if you want to put it on the record or whatever. I don't think Wes Welker is going to have the type of receptions he had in New England. There's other threats there where he didn't have that in New England. Yeah, he had Gronk, he had Hernandez, but like you said, Lloyd didn't do anything very effective. When Chad Ochocinco was there, he was just kind of on the field. So it's guys like that. Edelman did stuff, but so it's like with Denver. They have Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker. I'm losing their tight end. They have Jacob Tammey, right? Yeah.
And Julius Thomas, this new kid who's going to be.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a good two tight ends there, and I just think that with that being said, Welker won't get the 90 to 100, which he doesn't average that. But I'm just saying he won't get a high number of receptions, but he'll still be great. He's Wes Welker. If he completely dropped off, that would surprise me big time. But I think there's going to be some chemistry problems. You know, it's Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning can't find Wes Welker the ball, then Wes Welker is obviously on the drop. But I don't think that's going to happen. Anyways, enough about Denver. We all know they're going to be great. San Diego, who is Philip Rivers going to throw to? Please comment and tell me who he's going to throw to. He has absolutely no one.
New kid, new guy. I don't know if he's undrafted, but they got him in the draft. I think Vincent Brown. Rookie. But yeah.
All right. But anyways, point is, so they have a rookie to rely on to throw to,
yep.
And Antonio Gates, who hasn't been Antonio Gates in a long time. So, which I do think Antonio Gates is going to have to be good this year, or else Philip Rivers won't have anyone to throw to. But San Diego still finished the second in the division. I don't have a clue how many games they're going to win. But I feel like Philip Rivers is going to be awful this year, awful. But anyways, because of his offense. Oakland and Kansas City, they'll be top 10 picks again next year. Kansas City, I know they have I think Oakland finishes last. Kansas City finishes third. I don't trust Terrell Pryor. But I think Kansas City, with Alex Smith, maybe, and Andy Reid should have, Kansas City maybe shock a couple teams. But I don't know. Maybe Kansas City wins 6 games, 5-6 games, which is an improvement from last year. So. But I have Oakland finishing last in the division, unless Terrell Pryor is the next Vic or something. But I doubt it, which isn't saying much after all. But yeah, so I got Denver, San Diego, Kansas City, Oakland. No one else is making the playoffs in this division. It's just Denver. So that's my thoughts on that.
I think Oakland is the worst team in football. I think Matt Miller tweeted a few weeks ago. He's a draft scout. His hashtag, his Twitter handle is NFL Draft Scout. He tweeted that he thinks Oakland is less talented than the 2008 Detroit Lions that went 0-16. And it's hard to argue when their only player, they also lost their entire defense. Michael Huff, Philip Wheeler, they had a lot of guys leave. And
no Richard Seymour either.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how it goes. I do not trust them though at all. Darren McFadden is going to get hurt like he always does. Terrell Pryor, I'm just not too sure about him. I think he's a run. He is a dual threat, but I don't think his accuracy's there. And don't get me wrong, he'll be something. He'll be a threat in some situations, but I just don't think the team's gonna do that well. I feel for him. He's not gonna have a good reputation after this season. I think they're gonna finish dead last. I think San Diego's gonna finish second to last. They're hurting. They lost a lot of talent on offense. They got Danny Woodhead, but I don't know how big of a role he'll really play. We'll see with them, but I don't trust them too much to say the least. They still have Eric Weddle on defense, their best player,
and they got Teo.
Who? Oh, and they've got Teo in the draft. So we'll see.
And his girlfriend.
So I don't trust San Diego too much either. I have Oakland winning 1 game. Yes, I said 1. I have San Diego winning like 6, 5. And Kansas City, I think, can win 7 or 8. Yes.
That's bold.
It's very bold. Last year, they had very talented guys on defense. They just didn't have a good quarterback. And they had a head coach who is a great defensive coordinator like Rex Ryan, but he's not a good head coach. And any offense run by him will suck. I firmly believe that. Romeo Crennel and Rex Ryan, both of them, I don't care who you put at quarterback, their offenses are going to really struggle because they're just not offensive-minded guys. Matt Castle went to the playoffs, on an easy schedule, but Matt Castle was never regarded as a horrible quarterback until last year, And the defense has a lot of talent, and they picked up Sean Smith from the Dolphins to be one of their starting cornerbacks. They had 5 guys make the Pro Bowl last year. Say what you want about the Pro Bowl, but it does rarely do terrible players get selected to the Pro Bowl. If you're selected to the Pro Bowl, you're at least pretty good. So
right.
They got good talent on defense. They got Alex Smith. There's a lot of questions about how Alex Smith will do without Harbaugh. It's either that he did well in Harbaugh's system or Harbaugh developed him into being a good quarterback. I think it's the latter. I think Alex Smith is gonna play well for Kansas City. Andy Reid likes to throw a lot, so he's gonna use him a lot. Hopefully they don't cut into Jamal Charles's carries because they need him.
Yeah.
But I like Kansas City. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No, but I think they're going to be pretty good. I give them 7 to 8 games. Broncos, I think, are going to win 13 to 14 games. Peyton Manning is unarguably, in my opinion, the best regular season quarterback of all time. Like every year, when he's a starting quarterback, it seems like every year they finish with 13 to 14 wins, and they did it again last year. And I think he's going to do it again. I think that the offense only got better, and I think they're going to be fun to watch. So yeah, very high in Denver. And that concludes my thoughts on the AFC West. Phil, lead us in with the AFC North.
AFC North. All right. Well, we've talked a good bit about Baltimore. So I get to, but I add a few things to that. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and say this: Browns will finish last in this division. I don't really know, and this is my fault. A lot of people, there are teams out there that sometimes you just don't follow it as much, and well, the Browns is one of them. So I'm not really sure how. I mean, their defense has been good. Their defense is getting there with Joe Hayden and a couple other players as well. And they got a decent offensive line. Trent Richardson at running back. Brandon Weeden, I'm not too sold on him, but so I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you what the Browns are going to do as far as wins, but I do have the Browns finishing last. Before the Browns are in third place in the division, I have the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to be awful. I don't know why. I know why, because they don't even know who they're starting. I mean, I think today he finally announced who the starting running back is going to be. If you play fantasy football, like that was the one thing: stay away from Steelers running backs. So,
very true.
One of the highest ones rated in the draft actually got cut. Dwyer got cut. So,
yeah.
Well, outside of the rookie they have, I think Le'Veon Bell, right, or Le'Veon Bell, sorry.
And he's out. He's out till week 6.
Yeah, he's hurt. So there you go. I think the starter is they named it today.
Isaac Redman.
Isaac Redman. So. Good luck with that, Steelers. And the Steelers are known; they have to have a power running game. They always have to. And when they don't, look what happens. Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, who's he going to throw to? He's got Emmanuel Sanders, and that's really honestly the only Antonio Brown. I forgot about him. So I mean, we'll see. But I think the Steelers are going to be awful. I'm not saying they're going to win less than 5 games. I'm not saying that. They're still the Steelers. It's hard to play at home against them, or play in Pittsburgh, but. They're gonna. I guess I'll just give them 7-8 wins like they got 8 last year. So, and then I think Baltimore finishes second in this division. I think they can still win go to the playoffs. I think they could do that, but it's going to be a lot harder than it was last year. I think 10-6 might not do it. 10-6 could if you finish 10-6, I think you could be literally in a 3 or 4 way tie to make the playoffs. So you're going to have to beat other competitors in the AFC. And you're going to have to, make sure you get those tiebreakers, and I don't know if Baltimore's going to get them. So I'm not sure if I got Baltimore in the playoffs. Probably, I'd like to lean toward Miami because they have more upside. So I'd probably say Baltimore misses the playoffs, but we'll see. I do think I'm just going through a lot of things. I think the pressure wasn't on Flacco last year, so he was able to be successful. Let's see if once now the pressure is now on Flacco to carry this team. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what he's going to have to do. He's got Ray Rice, but he's got Torrey Smith, who did great last year, but is going to be able to deliver on that this year. And then, of course, like you said, Jacoby Jones as your number 2. Yeah, that's something to jump up and down about. So we'll see. They still have the defense is still good. I mean, it's not horrible, but losing Ray Lewis, I just think it's going to affect them early on in the season. And I think those losses are going to haunt them, are going to come back to haunt them later in the year. It won't show much effect in the beginning of the season, but it will later on. And not to mention they open up against Denver. That's what a great way to start this season. I mean, you got to be alive week 1. So that's what happens when you win the Super Bowl. So, but they got their Super Bowl out the way. So and how many times do you see a team that goes to the Super Bowl or wins it not make the playoffs the next year? It happens way too often.
Happened last year.
Yeah, Giants didn't make the playoffs. Well, that's the Giants' philosophy. We'll win the Super Bowl and they will just sit out, basically. But enough about Baltimore. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying I would be shocked if they made the playoffs, but my bets would not go to them. Like I said, I like the upside in the other teams. Then we got Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati wins this division. I want to say easily, but I think it's easily. But at the same time, it might not look easily because it's only going to be like a 2-game, maybe a 1 or 2 game win, maybe 3 would be the highest I'd see them winning the division by. But 3 is kind of I don't say that, but. Cincinnati wins the division. I like Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. Their backups, Giovanni. I forgot his last name, but he's good. Bernard is it Bernard? Giovanni something. Anyways, Bernard. Okay, I was right. Yeah. So I think the Cincinnati wins this division pretty easily. How far they're going to the playoffs, that's another question. But this is just about the division, and I think Cincinnati wins this division pretty easily this year.
All right. I already talked about the Ravens. I think the Bengals are going to win the division as well. I have them going 11-5. I think that they're very talented. They constantly get better every year. The team's still young. Andy Dalton, Giovanni Bernard, AJ Green, Geno Atkins is still really young. They got a lot of talent. They got James Harrison this year, which I don't know from a talent standpoint will be a big signing, but from a leadership standpoint, I think that'll be a big deal. And I'm very optimistic for the Bengals in the regular season. Everybody knows I have my questions about Andy Dalton and my questions about Marvin Lewis as a head coach. We'll see that in the playoffs. Andy Dalton, I don't think is a franchise quarterback. I think this is a make-or-break year for him, personally. I think that if they get bounced in the first round again, people are really going to start to have questions about him. I don't think he'll get replaced or anything, but people will start to wonder, hey, how come you can't get us past the first round? And every year in the playoffs, he has not played well. People don't know that. I mean, I guess people know this, but no, they don't know this, but last year in the playoffs, Joe Webb. Do you remember the game that Joe Webb had?
Right.
Joe Webb had a higher quarterback rating than Andy Dalton did.
Ooh, brutal. Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look it up. Yeah. That's pretty. Joe Webb had a better quarterback rating than Andy Dalton did against the Texans. So I have my questions again about Andy Dalton. I think he can do fine enough in the regular season, but I don't think he can take his team all the way. But we'll see. Like I said, but yeah, so I give the Bengals 11 wins. I think the Steelers are going to bounce back from their 8-8 season into another 8-8 season. They lost Mike Wallace, which is going to hurt slightly. They kept Emmanuel.
Oh, I forgot that. I totally forgot to mention that.
They kept Emmanuel Sanders, who I think is going to have a big year. Le'Veon Bell's out for 6 weeks. They lost James Harrison, which again, from a talent perspective, maybe not that big of a deal, but from a leadership perspective, that matters. But I think Mike Tomlin is good enough of a head coach to always have a 7 to 8 game winning record. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL, and Big Ben's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I definitely think that they're going to do enough to get to 8 wins. Obviously, I have the Ravens finishing 7-9. Cleveland, I also have finishing 7-9. Cleveland, they were 6-10 last year, I believe. Actually, they may have been 5-11. 5-11 or 6-10.
They're 5-11.
5-11. They got Rod Chudzinski and North Turner as their offensive coordinator and Chudzinski as their head coach. Both of those guys are noted for being offensive gurus. And Brandon Weeden got rave reviews for being so much better in the preseason because of them. And I think their offense is going to improve drastically. I think Trent Richardson is going to keep mauling through. I think he'll be like a top 5 fantasy back by the end of the year. I think that Paul Kruger added to their team is going to help them out a bit. And they have a lot of talent. They just never had the quarterback, never had the coach. And Josh Gordon, I'm a big fan of. He's suspended the first 2 weeks, but I like him a lot. So I like Cleveland. They just have a tough division. That's the unfortunate reality, and I still think they're still a few steps away from being true contenders. But I don't see why they still can't win 7 games. So those are my thoughts on Cleveland. Phil, start us with the AFC South.
So wait, I don't know if I missed this somehow. Where do you have Ravens finishing in the division? Second?
Oh, I have Bengals first, Steelers second, Ravens third, Browns
Ravens
fourth.
third. Okay, Ravens third. So you have Ravens winning 7 games?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that doesn't, like I said, it can go either way. So, so AFC South, the last of the AFC divisions. We'll start Jacksonville. I mean, do we need TiVo? Go after TiVo. Really wouldn't hurt to try it, but I don't think you were talking about earlier, like Andy Dalton not being the franchise quarterback for the Bengals. Blaine Gabbert's not it. Chad Henne's not it. I don't even know. I guess Glabbert. Blaine Gabbert will start. I guess I don't care about the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if they're anything like they are in Madden, I don't know if you, for those of you that play Madden, but I play all Madden on the did start a Jacksonville franchise just to throw it out there. And even with Tebow, I couldn't win. Like, it's just, I mean, just try it. If you have Madden, go on to all Madden and play with the Jags. It's hard. So I mean, if that has any indication, I know it's just a video game. But anyways, Jacksonville's finishing last in this division. Probably could 2 wins again like they did last year. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. And enough about them. I don't even want to talk about them. Tennessee Titans, they're going to finish third. Same thing as last year. I don't really know a whole lot about them. All I know is, you got Andrew Luck. You got Locker, Jake Locker, Chris Johnson, whatever. And that's it. I mean, who else do you really have on that team? I mean, the receivers, you got Kenny Britt, you got Kendall Wright, but so we'll see. But I'm not. It's Tennessee, whatever. They're gonna. I mean, they went 6-10 last year. Maybe they'll go about the same. I think they'll probably be worse. But all right, and then the 2 teams that matter, and the 2 teams that are worth talking about in this division: Indianapolis and Houston. I still have Indy finishing second in this division. It's going to be very, very intriguing to see how Andrew Luck does in his sophomore year. A lot of people, sophomore slump is a topic of discussion. We'll talk about that later with these rookie quarterbacks from last year. So I do think that Indianapolis will be good. Reggie Wayne will play a huge part as well. He's still good, still great at receiver. Andrew Luck is just finding new targets. T.Y. Hilton's good. I mean, they don't have a great running game or anything like that, but I do think the Colts will. Or they got Ahmad Bradshaw, so there you go. We'll see if that makes the running game a little better than it was last year. But I like the Colts. I like the Colts to make the playoffs. But like I said, it's going to still be in those tiebreaker things. I think they could be involved in that. But I would want to think that Indianapolis holds that top wild card easily. But part of me just not sure about that yet. But yeah, I have Houston winning the division, probably like they did last year, by a game or so. So the Colts could steal it, but I do really feel confident in Houston Texans taking that division. And I guess they were they were the 3rd seed last year. That's right? Or were they the 2nd seed? I can't remember.
The Texans, they were 3rd.
Yeah,
3rd.
They were the 3rd seed. I was pretty sure New England had the bye. But anyways, I like Houston in the regular season, but to me, they're just a team I don't know. Talent wise, I would say Houston's a Super Bowl team. But to me, I just haven't seen. I mean, they get in the playoffs. I mean, I know they lost to the Patriots or whatever, but I haven't seen Matt Schwab, I always say it. Matt Schaub win a huge game to me. I just haven't seen it. So I want to see and I'm not just talking regular season. I'm talking playoffs. Can he go in there and beat a Denver? Can he go in there and beat a New England, which is who they who arguably may not be as strong as they were last year, but at the same time, Houston has to win those big games, and come playoff time, New England's always going to be at their A game. So is Denver. So we'll see. I got Houston winning the division. We'll talk about as far as going further than that later, but there's just big question marks for me with Houston. We'll see what Schaub can do, and if his targets and stuff can get it done. So, man, you still got Arian Foster, who I have on my team this year. Please don't get hurt. So there's that.
All right,
and they still have J.J. Watt, who's a beast.
My biased and bold prediction is that the Jaguars will be better this year than last year. Obviously, so bold. Because seeing as how they won 2 games last year.
They'll get 3.
3, my bad.
No, I said they'll get 3. They had to.
Okay, wait, did the Chiefs only win 2 games last year?
Yeah, they both only won 2.
Okay, well, the Jaguars just got as their offensive coordinator, Jed Fish. Jed Fish was the offensive coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes last year. And the Miami Hurricanes offense last year was amazing. And Jed Fish is an offensive genius. There was this one game, I think it was the 3rd game of preseason, where Blaine Gabbert got really good reviews for playing really well all of a sudden, and everyone was like, "Oh, is it Gus Bradley as head coach?" I think it's Jed Fish. I think new offensive coordinators always make these young quarterbacks better. Like I said about Brandon Weeden, I think that Jed Fish is going to make Blaine Gabbert better. Do I think is the answer? I'm not sure, but I do think the Jaguars are going to win 5 games this year instead of 2.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
that is bold.
The Titans have been a standard 500 team the past 10 years. I think they're going to win 8 games. I think Jake Locker is going to get better. And I think that Chris Johnson's going to have a better year this year. But I still have questions about them. But I think they're going to do fine enough to win 8, 7 games maybe. I wasn't a fan of Locker at all last year, but I've heard that he's improved. So I'll trust that and see how he does next year. The Colts. The Colts and the Texans, I think, are both going to win 12 games. I think the Texans are going to win the division, but the Colts are going to get a lot better. They added a lot of their defense last year was arguably awful, and they got
atrocious.
They got LaRon Landry from the Jets, who's going to help.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they got a few other guys here and there that I think are going to make an impact, and they got Donald Thomas, former Patriots offensive guard, on their line to help their line because their line last year was awful. And they picked up Darius Hayward-Bay as a third receiver. So, you know what? Let's see how the Colts do. I like them. I expect them to win a lot of games. I expect them to actually win a playoff game this year, but I don't think they're going to win the division. The Houston Texans, I think, are going to the Super Bowl. I think now that Brian Cushing is healthy, I think that they're not going to get obliterated by New England like they did last time, twice.
Right.
Everyone knows that I'm a huge Matt Schaub fan. I love Matt Schaub. And Matt Schaub never got the love that he deserved. Matt Schaub, his whole career, had a 92 career quarterback rating. Higher career quarterback rating than Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, and Matt Stafford. For those that do not know, look it up. The only quarterbacks with a better career quarterback rating are Peyton, Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Phillip Rivers. Schaub is a great quarterback. Last year, for the first time ever in his career, the lights were shown on him in the playoffs, and he succumbed to them big time. I won't deny that. He played bad against the Bengals. He's lucky that they still won because Andy Dalton played just as bad, if not, no, definitely worse.
Yeah,
and then he played bad against New England in that third quarter, where like the Texans allowed 18 points or whatever it was. I like the Texans a lot. They were like the best team in the NFL last year until Cushing got hurt. But Schaub needs to win big games. But just because he failed once, I don't think that means he can't. I mean, Matt Ryan lost in the playoffs 4 years in a row, and everyone was like, oh, he'll never win a playoff game. And then he went to the NFC Championship game. So, you just never know. I'm going to give Schaub another chance. If Schaub fails this year, then yeah, maybe he just can't win in the playoffs, and maybe the Texans got to start thinking about their quarterback options. But I love him to death, and I think that giving him a second chance based on what he's done his whole career, he should be given another chance to prove that he can, in fact, win in the postseason. And I have faith in him. I trust him. I trust the Texans. So I have the Texans going to the Super Bowl. Bold pick, I know. But to be honest, the AFC this year got better, but the top teams, in my opinion, got a little
worse. They got worse, yeah. No, it's I think, someone made a point that I think every top team in the AFC as a whole, like they have something Denver lost players, New England's lost players, Baltimore lost players. I mean, they all did. Houston's probably like the only one that really didn't lose. They gained Ed Reed too, so I forgot to mention that.
Oh, I forgot about that too. Yeah, like the Steelers, the Ravens, the Patriots, even the Broncos. I mean, everybody lost something. So, like, I think what happened is a lot of the mid-level teams, like the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins, like, I think they got better, and the Colts too. But a lot of the top, so that's why people think the conference is better, and maybe the conference is better. But the top teams got a little worse. I mean, the AFC Championship game last year, both those teams got worse. So, we'll see. I'm giving Schaub a chance. Schaub, help me out. Because the Patriots and the Ravens declined so much to the point that they did, I think it's not unfathomable to think that
it's not too hard.
So, giving him a chance. Let's see how he does.
And I want to add too. That's fair. Like, I mean, you have your proof behind that why you want to give Schaub another chance, and he deserves another chance. I'm just not sure he can do it. Yeah. So that's like. So I totally see your point on that. I can't argue that at all.
Now we move on to the NFC. The NFC East, who I think it was Mike Shanahan called the SEC of the NFL. Not sure if I agree with that, but nonetheless.
I did call him the best division last year in football. I called him that as well. So I guess I'll give my thoughts on this division this year. Very intriguing because, first of all, as I said before, the Giants like to win Super Bowls and then not play the next year, but then the year after that, they're back to playing again. So what will we get out of the Giants? That's question number one out of this division. What will we get out of them? Another question, what will we get out of Dallas? Because Dallas has the talent to win a lot of games, but do they win those games? Most of the time they don't. So there's a huge questions and two teams right there. Then you have another big question. The 4-12 Miami Heat, the Miami Heat of the NFL a couple years ago when they added all those free agents at least. The Philadelphia Eagles, who have a new head coach in Chip Kelly. They had, they're sticking with Vic. They have huge playmakers on offense, and LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Macklin. They lost him, but and then they have Jason Avant's not horrible. He's decent and good. Defense, their defense isn't horrible, but they don't have their cornerbacks anymore. No Namdi, no Rogers Cromartie, but their cornerbacks, from hearing from an Eagles fan that's my best friend, he says their cornerbacks aren't that bad, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But like I said, there's a bunch of questions in this division. RG3, will RG3 be able to get it done? So I think I honestly am not confident with any position I put any of these teams. I think any of these teams can honestly win this division, and I think most people would agree with me. And this is why most of the time I say that NFC East is the best division, because you really don't know who's going to win the division. I mean, the Eagles went from 8-8 on a year that everybody thought they were going to be great to 4-12, and it's like they have the talent to go right back to being 10-6. So it's like Chip Kelly is able to do great things with them. So I think last place. I guess I'm gonna. I don't know, man. I'm gonna give it to Philly just because I'm saying I think Chip Kelly will slip up just enough to where the other three teams can finish above him, but I think it's gonna be tight. I think Philly can win 6 to 8 games this year. I don't think they make the playoffs or anything, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did at the same time. So this could be opposite. Philly might end up winning the division now that I say this. But anyways, so I got them last. Very intrigued though to see what they're gonna do this year. Third, I still got to put Dallas. Man, if I got to put my faith in anybody, it ain't going to be Dallas. So I think Dallas finishes third, somewhere around the same time thing last year, 8-8, 9-7. But Romo better hope that doesn't happen, because Romo's time might be up soon if that happens. I'm not saying this, after this year, but I'm saying, it's one of those things where, like you said with Andy Dalton, Matt Ryan, guys like that, they got to win. And if they can't even get in the playoffs, you start looking. I mean, the quarterback position is the one that everybody points at. So, I mean, there you go. You got to help your team get it done. So then I got the Giants. The Giants finished in second, I guess. Do I have them second? Yeah, I got them finished in second. I just don't see them going all the way straight to winning the division. So I got Giants finished in second. I just feel like they bounced back. They were 9-7 last year, which is an off year. So an off year, they finished 9-7. So we'll see what they did lose Bradshaw. They just lost Andre Brown to injury, so it's going to be up to the young guy and David Wilson to carry the load. But we'll see what happens there. They still got Victor Cruz, great receiver. They still got Hakeem Nicks if he can stay healthy. So the defense, that defensive line is arguably the best in the league. So and they still got a great corner, decent corners. I think that's where they probably are the weakest, but they got decent corners. And then their safeties as well. So I got the Giants finishing in second, probably 9-7, 10-6. And then Washington is going to be 9-7, 10-6, maybe. I don't want to say 11-5, but I think the Washington Giants are going to be pretty close, and it's going to be a battle to win the division with Dallas as well. But Dallas will fall short, and it'll come down to Washington and Giants. But got Washington win the division if RG3 can stay healthy. If not, go ahead and put the Washington Redskins at the bottom. But the Redskins have a good defense. People don't remember they lost 2 key players on defense last year early on. I think it was 2. I know 1 for sure. So they really have to. I think if they stay healthy, I think Washington could really be good. And if Shanahan can just keep RG3 healthy, Redskins are winning this division. I think RG3 is just on his way to be one of the greats in the future. So that's what I have. I have Washington winning, but this is not. I could see it going the opposite way I just said. So go ahead.
All right. I have the Cowboys winning this division. Now, I picked them last year, and I was laughed at, but I was one Romo interception away from having that come true.
That's true.
If y'all remember that game.
I really remember.
I witnessed Tony Romo mount tons of fourth-quarter comebacks. Tony Romo is probably the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. Statistically, he's fantastic. He almost threw for 5,000 yards last year. He is a great quarterback. What people rag on him is for playing awfully in the last week of the season and in the playoffs. They don't rag on him for being a terrible quarterback. They rag on him for playing bad in the last week of the season and the playoffs. But weeks 1 through 14, look at his numbers. They speak for themselves. He is a very talented quarterback. And I think this is the year that everything just clicks. Des Bryant, towards the end of last season, was a monster. Arguably the best receiver in the NFL. I think give him a full season of that, and we got a much more dangerous Cowboys team. I like this team. Do I trust them? Maybe not. But I can't. It's just a gut feeling. Gut feeling. I think they just get it all together this year. I have them winning 10 games. I have them winning the division. I think the Giants will come second with 9 wins. The Giants are the Giants after all. They're going to be consistently that good. We'll see how Eli Manning does. I mean, he did not have a good season last year. And in my opinion, at least. And in my opinion, he needs to get more consistent at that position to get people to say, hey, because people's argument with Eli is, oh, he's a good quarterback, but he's clutch, and that's why he's top 5. But when it comes to a full season of, like, game by game, his numbers don't hold up with Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady.
He could, honestly, I'll just add this in, he can't hold a candle to the elite quarterbacks in the regular season. He can't. I mean, that's just fact. He can't.
Obviously, in the playoffs, I mean, yeah, he's great.
But when he comes up big in big moments, you can't argue that fact. And like you said, that's why he's in the elite section, you know. And 2 Super Bowls doesn't hurt that. But that's what that goes along with the clutch.
In the regular season, he's just clunky, and he needs to play better if he wants to consistently get this team to the playoffs. It seems like I think I heard Eli talking about this the other day. It just seems like that every time, like he has to win a Super Bowl, and then 3 years later, people have to really start to criticize him, like say, like, is he the guy? And then he just goes ahead and wins another Super Bowl. And, like, you know, with the Giants, it's all about maintaining consistency. It seems like they don't care about the regular season. It seems like once they just want to wait till they get to the playoffs, and then when they get to the playoffs, they want to run. Can they maintain it? I don't know. I have them winning 9 games because they have a lot of talent, but like I said, I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. I have the Redskins winning 8 games. I think the Redskins are going to take a slight hit due to RG3's injury. Jaws talked about this. Ron Jaworski. He thinks RG3's his ACL injury might affect his throwing motion. So we'll see. I think he's going to get hurt. I think, like Michael Vick, RG3, I'm not confident will ever play a full season. He's already, that style is just going to lend itself to injury. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he has a long, prosperous career, but I just don't see him lasting too long in the NFL. Not in the NFL, but I can't see him ever playing 16 games. So, best of luck to him.
Shanahan has to protect him because I think that was a big problem with Vic. Like Vic kept taking big hits, like especially in Atlanta. Like that dude freaking kept taking hits. It's like you got to know to go out of bounds, and I think RG3 needs to learn that same thing, and Shanahan needs to make sure he does that. You know.
Yep. Completely understand. So yeah, I have the Redskins going 8-8. I think they're still going to be a good team, but I don't see them make the playoffs. Eagles, I think, are going to get better. I have them winning 7 games. They're going to get better. Chip's going to improve that offense a lot, but that defense still has a lot of question marks. We'll see how they do. I'm not too confident in them. That's why I have them winning 7 games. But I do think they can still be a very productive team nonetheless. And overall, I have the Cowboys winning the division and no other team in this division making the playoffs, just like last year. Phil, NFC South, go.
NFC South, our popular division.
Yes.
The one that me and Leroy went back and forth with last year. I don't think we're gonna. Well, we'll see. We'll just see if this can become the division we fight over again. But NFC South is a very talented division. It could possibly be the better division actually in the NFL. Depending on how the NFC East does this year, but it's really hard to see. As far as who comes in last in this division this year, I think it's gonna be tough. Just so you know, the NFC South has to play the AFC East this year. So all these players are playing the Patriots. All these teams are playing the Dolphins, who I think are a good team. So that has to, of course, go into effect. But then again, they goes in the Jets. So there's that. But I do think that it's so hard for me. I think the Panthers finished last. Close. It's close, but I think the Panthers finished last in this division. I'm not that big on Cam, to be honest. He barely wins games when he throws interceptions, if you didn't know that. He finally picked that up, but he went a long stretch where if he threw an interception, he wasn't winning. And it's just like I don't like his attitude a lot of the times, which I understand. He's young. He'll get over that, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. This is Cam's third year, right, or second
Yeah,
year?
third.
Third year. Okay, I didn't think. I thought last year was sophomore year. Okay, so this is his third year. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish third. I don't think they're finishing higher than that. But I got them finishing last, same record last year, maybe 8-8. Wouldn't be shocked either way. But then I got Tampa Bay finishing third. Man, that defense is beast. Not only was it good, I mean, it was good last year, but it got even better. I don't know if you noticed, but they signed the best cornerback in the league, in Darrelle Revis. Yes, I know we've had the Revis versus Namdi debate, but Namdi has to. We'll get to that. But obviously, right now, Revis is the number one cornerback. So they added him. They added Golston from the 49ers. They also have another cornerback that I, for some reason, cannot think of his name right now. I always forget his name. Anyways, but they got another pretty good cornerback as well. Their defense is pretty good. I think that'll keep them in a lot of games and maybe steal a game here and there. But I still haven't finished in third just because this division is just. I mean, the two at the top are just really good, and I think that's gonna prevent them from reaching that height. But Tampa Bay is they're almost there. The one question, of course, always comes down to, is Josh Freeman the guy? I like him. I do like Josh Freeman a lot, but I don't know if he's consistent enough to get them where they need to go. So that could hold them back from getting to that level. But I think they're almost there. I mean, like I said, this division is tight, so I wouldn't be shocked if they won. They somehow went 9-7 or something like that. But 8-8, 9-7 is what I got the Bucks going. It would really shock me if they won 10 games, to be honest. But I mean, it wouldn't shock me too much, but you get what I'm saying. Then we have the top two teams, and I've been debating whether or not. Last year, I thought Sean Payton it wasn't going to cost the Saints to go 7-9. Of course, I have to eat my words now, and they did. I thought they would still somehow make the playoffs beginning of the season. Then towards the end of the season, I said, they won't make the playoffs. Or actually, I think I still kept them in the playoffs, but I have to check the records or whatever. But I think the Saints still finished second in this division. They tied for second last year, but I think the Saints still finished second in this division. But they got Rob Ryan, who is a great defensive coordinator from the Cowboys. Rob Ryan is going to make that defense. He's going to get that defense as good as out of. Well, how am I wording this? He's going to get the best he can out of that defense. I really think that the Saints. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to drastically improve. I think they're going to have an improvement, kind of like the Pats from year to year. Their defense just seems to get better. Not like crazy amounts rankings wise better, but you see improvements. And I think Rob Ryan's, you're going to see maybe not a huge improvement, but a pretty decent improvement in that defense. And of course, Sean Payton's back. That's going to get that offense pumping like crazy. Jimmy Graham, Marcus Colston, Drew Brees. I mean, and then you have Sproles, Mark Ingram. I mean, powerful offense there. So I mean, it's just going to be insane. So I think the Saints do make the playoffs this year. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say that Saints make the playoffs. But Atlanta's going to win the division, and I heard this on NFL Network. This Tony Gonzalez came back, was going to retire. I actually think he did retire and then came back. I don't know, one of the two. But he was going to retire, didn't. Came back. Now this is the year. I mean, regular season, honestly, and this is kind of the deal with my Patriots in the last couple of years. It means diddly squat, to be honest. I mean, it really means nothing. Get to the playoffs, and then that's when stuff starts mattering. Now they got the over the hump last year, so I really think the Falcons. I mean, Matt Ryan, they got that hump out the way. They just lost to a better team in the NFC Championship game, so they were one step away from going to the Super Bowl. So I think that Atlanta, this is their year this year. But a lot like the NFL Network show that I was watching the other day said, they got to hurry because their window may be closing. Because you know how teams can get in that, they can be that good. They keep Chargers. That happened to the Chargers. They were always a top team, but their window finally closed and they never made it to the Super Bowl. So I think that could happen to the Falcons if they don't get it done this year or next year. So we'll see what happens. But I got the Falcons winning the division.
I also have the Falcons. I think this is the first time that we have the exact same order. Oh, I guess the AFC South as well. And the AFC East.
Yeah, and East. So, well, anyways, first NFC, I think.
I do also have the Falcons win the division. Matt Ryan is an extremely talented quarterback. I don't know if you know this. Kurt Warner gave his top 5 NFL quarterbacks today. Peyton Manning was 1. Peyton Manning was 1. Matt Ryan was 2.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like Peyton Manning, Matt Ryan, like I forget. I think Breeze, Rodgers, Brady. But yeah, he had Matt Ryan at 2.
Wow.
Yeah. And obviously Matt Ryan is an extremely talented quarterback. The regular season has never been a question for him. That's never been the issue, but man, that guy struggles a lot in the postseason. Even last year, I mean, yeah, they almost beat the Niners, but like people forget that he also fumbled the snap and threw an interception. You know, like he still made mistakes in that game. He's a very talented quarterback. Can he do it? It's honestly getting to the point where I don't think he can. How many chances in a row, year after year, do you have to like bomb in the playoffs for me to finally like, you know, say, hey, I don't trust them in the playoffs at all. But I do think they're going to win the division. I think New Orleans will come in second. I think their offense is going to get a lot better. Their defense will improve, but it's still... Their defense last year was the worst defense in NFL history, statistically. They allowed the most yards in a season, more yards in one season than any NFL defense ever did, ever. So you can make the argument it was the worst defense in NFL history. So they're going to get better, but that's such a big deficiency for me to just say they're going to go to the Super Bowl, you know? Like,
well, right.
That's a lot to overcome. So I have them winning 10 games and barely missing the playoffs. I think they're going to improve a lot. I think they're going to be real good, but I can't see them in the postseason. I can't. I have Tampa Bay winning 7 games. Freeman's really got to play better. Freeman played terrible the last like 6 weeks of the season last year. Cost him the chance to go to the playoffs. People forget Tampa Bay was like a 6-3 team, but Freeman just could not. Freeman was being really inefficient. I just saw Freeman play against my Dolphins in preseason. It was preseason, but he was playing against the first-string defense for the whole first half, and he looked terrible. Terrible. The Dolphins are a very good defense, but the Dolphins, you know, they're like a top 10 defense. I wouldn't call them a top 5 defense. They look terrible. And in this division, granted, you have the Saints and the Panthers, so maybe it's not so bad, even though the Panthers last year finished at the 10th best defense thanks to Luke Kuechly, but I don't trust Josh Freeman at all. I think they're going to win 7 games again. I would have them going worse if not for the addition of Darrelle Revis. So I'll keep them at 7 again. Carolina is going to be my big drop. I don't know if it's a big drop, but I think they're going to win 4 to 5 games this year.
Wow.
They lost their offensive coordinator, Rod Chudzinski, who, like I said, was an offensive guru and really helped out Cam Newton. I think Newton's going to struggle a lot this year because of that. And I don't like Ron Rivera at all as their head coach. I thought Rivera should have been fired last year. I get why they didn't fire him because he did technically improve from the year before, but I think this is the year he goes. I think after this year, when he doesn't win more than 5 games, I think he's out. And I don't like him at all. Don't trust Carolina too well. Steve Smith's good. They have Brandon LaFell as their number 2 receiver. I was reading an article by Walter Football the other day. They said Brandon LaFell is the worst number 2 receiver in the NFL. And,
That's probably true.
And he said Cam Newton must be furious at his team's inability to get a second receiver. And they have no running game whatsoever. D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart are horrible fantasy running backs. And I don't trust Carolina. Cam Newton has to do too much. Luke Kuechly is going to be a monster for them. But, yeah, I'm not a big Carolina fan. I have them winning 5 games. So.
Which, by the way, mentioning what you were saying about D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, one thing I got to say to the Panthers, why did you pay them both? That made no sense. Yeah. It made no sense. You should have got rid of one of them. Made no sense. Then you might have had a better second receiver. That's just something I thought about when you said it. And to mention, D'Angelo Williams used to be a top running back in the fantasy. Not anymore.
Yep.
So, and Jonathan Stewart can't even stay healthy, so there's that. But sorry, I just want to add that in there.
Now I'll take us to the NFC West.
NFC West, okay. This is interesting because I think, you know, when you got these teams in here, you got 2 really good teams in here. And then you have 2 upcoming teams. Arizona, I don't know. Is there kind of a question mark? Can Carson Palmer get them to the wins that they had last year? I think so. Can he get them over that? I don't know, and I don't really know any other kind of acquisitions they made. Like I said, it's one of those teams you don't hear a whole lot about. But I think Carson Palmer, from what I've heard, Carson Palmer's done pretty good in the preseason, so maybe he can get the ball to Larry Fitz a lot, enough to get them to the wins. But maybe 6 games, but maybe 7. I don't. 7 would shock me. So I think Arizona kind of stays where they're at, or improves by a tiny bit. And then I think the Rams finished 3rd as well. Now the Rams, if you don't remember, and I actually got reminded by pulling up their standings, from last year. I forgot about this. They tied with San Francisco last year.
Yeah.
So and I can't remember if Kaepernick played in that game. You'd have to tell me. But
I don't think so.
I want to say Alex Smith did. Yeah, my memory says Alex Smith.
I think that's the game that Alex Smith got hurt. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you might be right about that. But nonetheless, I think the Rams are an upcoming team, and not to mention, I think they have a pretty good coach, and Fisher. For some reason, I can't think of his first name. Jeff Fisher. I was about to say Derek Fisher. Jeff Fisher is a good coach, and I think that's a young team. Like that's one of those teams that it's just taking a while to get there. The biggest blow for them, I think, of course, you have no more Steven Jackson. You gotta rely on Daryl Richardson, or I guess Daryl Richardson. So yeah, that's gonna hurt Sam Bradford. And is Sam Bradford slowly becoming not the guy? Can he keep his? Can he have enough weapons on offense? They did get Tavon Austin, the top receiver in the draft, so we'll see if that helps Bradford. So we'll see. I could see them finishing right where they were last year, 7-8, maybe 8-8. But they're not quite there yet, and they've got some. Bradford's going to have to just play on a different level to get the Rams where they need to go. So, but a young team, and they're kind of at that point where they need a couple more pieces. But you know what I'm saying. Then we have the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. I think the Niners do win this division this year. I do think Kaepernick will struggle. I think Russell Wilson will struggle as well. Not when I say struggle, I just think that they're not going to have their breakout years like they did last year. Kaepernick, more teams know them. More teams are accustomed to what they're going to do. So they're probably not going to come out there and win your 11, 12 games like they did last year. They both won 11 games. But I do think that San Francisco wins this division. Seattle will go to the playoffs, though, as well. I like Russell Wilson. I like Seattle. Seattle's, if they stay healthy, Golden Tate, Sidney Rice, Russell Wilson, and then Marshawn Lynch, So they have a very good offense. Defense, they have, what's his first name? Sherman. I know his last name, Sherman. Richard Sherman, that's right. Who is arguably the second best cornerback in the league. I don't know how you feel about that, but I know you like him a lot.
Yes.
And then, who's their second guy?
Brandon Browner.
Brandon Browner, yeah. I knew him because I actually
have him on your team.
Yeah, on my Mad team. That's why I knew I remembered him. Yeah, Brandon Browner, he's good. I mean, so they have a good cornerback crew, which is key when you're in the NFC and at all, really, when you have to go up against elite quarterbacks and S&P receivers. So I like Seattle to be tight with San Francisco. It could flip-flop to who wins the division, but I got San Fran winning the division and being a top 2 seed. Do I have them being a top 2 seed? Not too sure about that, actually. They might be a 3rd seed, but Seattle definitely getting that wild card. Wild card, yeah, because they can't win the division. So, or if they don't win the division. Anyways, but I like Seattle and I like San Fran a lot. So I think they both are playoff teams, regardless. So.
I have Seattle winning the division. Seattle last year, people seem to forget, last year the Seahawks legitimately looked like one of the best teams in NFL history the last 2 weeks of the season last year, where they were scoring like 40 points a game and just murdering teams, beating Arizona like 58-0, whatever it was. They looked incredible. And if they play like that the whole season, I think they're going to win 14 games. I have them as the number 1 overall seed in the NFL.
Wow.
Yes. I know I'm going out on a limb there.
Wow.
And then I have San Fran finishing 2nd with 13 wins with a wild card, the greatest wild card record of all time. 12 wins. I'll say 12 wins. But I think San Fran's really talented. They just lost a lot of players on offense. Michael Crabtree's hurt for 6 weeks. Michael Crabtree and Mario Manningham are on the PUP list, which means they can't return until at least week 6 and possibly later.
Who else, you said?
Michael Crabtree and Mario Manningham.
Oh, Crabtree? Oh, wow. They did get Bolden. About that.
They got Anquan Bolden, and they got, what's his name? Vernon Davis. So I don't expect it to be like a disaster or anything. I just think it's going to be a tight struggle. Frank Gore out of the backfield. Kaepernick, we'll see how Kaepernick is. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's really talented. Hell, his first ever season he went to the Super Bowl. And I know he was on arguably the best team in the NFL, but still impressive. And I think they're going to do some damages here. I have them making the wild card, but I have Seattle winning the division. They only got better, too, which is the scary part. Seattle may be the Patriots of the 2010s. I legitimately believe, like, if you remember when New England won those 3 Super Bowls, part of the reason was that Tom Brady's contract was so low because he was a 6th-round pick, and because his contract was so low, they were able to spend a lot of money to build the rest of the team. Same thing with Russell Wilson. Because his contract is so cheap, they can spend a ton of money to fix the defense. They signed Antoine Winfield, who retired, but he would have helped them big time. They signed Cliff Avril. They got Percy Harvin.
Well, Percy Harvin's hurt though.
And Percy Harvin's out till like week 12, but he'll be there for the playoffs. Right. And watch out for Seattle. They're dangerous. Russell Wilson's a monster, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of his. He's in 3 of my 4 fantasy leagues, so I'm kind of banking on him to do well. Marshawn Lynch, in my opinion, is the 2nd best running back in the NFL. I think Marshawn Lynch is a monster. I think the only reason he didn't rush for more yards last year is because Wilson was so good, and they had to start letting Wilson throw the ball a little more. But I love Marshawn Lynch. I think he'll do really well. I love that team. They're winning 14 games, in my opinion. San Francisco winning 12. St. Louis is going to get better. They're going to win 8, but they improved the defense, and they improved the line by signing first overall pick Jake Long. But they lost They lost Danny Amendola, and they lost Brandon Gibson. And so now all they have left is Chris Givens. And they did lose Steven Jackson, but they did sign Darrell Richardson. And Darrell Richardson, I think, is going to be really good for them. But I don't know. I still think they're still moving up in the ranks, but I don't think they're there yet. I had them winning 8 games, and I have Arizona winning 6. Carson Palmer's going to help, but that offensive line still has a lot of issues. They drafted Jonathan Cooper to fix the O-line, and then he broke his leg and is out for the year. So I don't know. We'll see how that line does. The Raiders, I saw Carson Palmer play behind a terrible O-line last year, and his team sucked, even though he played really well. So I think he can put up good numbers, but they don't protect him. I don't know. So I have them winning 6 games, maybe 5. But yeah, Seattle and San Francisco, studs, Super Bowl favorites, obviously. That's probably going to be the NFC Championship game. So, yeah. Phil, NFC North.
Well, yeah, one thing too. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Seattle would have missed the playoffs if they hadn't won that game, right?
The Green Bay game?
Yeah, would they have missed? They would have missed the playoffs, and Chicago would have made it, right?
Let me look into that. I'm not sure.
I want to say something, or either Minnesota wouldn't have made it and Chicago would have made it, which is weird. I don't know how that would have worked, but
I mean, if they would have lost that game, they would have been 10-6. They would have been
10-6. They would have been tied with Minnesota and Chicago, and I think Chicago wins that tiebreaker.
I want
to say something, but that's not too important. You can look at it while I'm doing it or whatever. But that's just something that was a huge thing last year that we talked about. Stupid replacement refs. And what division we go? Oh, the last one, NFC North. There's some question mark. I mean, Detroit, man, they just fall off. I don't know what happened there. I guess injuries and stuff. I don't know, but I still got Detroit finishing last in this division. But I hope they can improve from 4-12. There's just so much talent on that team. Calvin Johnson, Stafford. They now have Reggie Bush, who should have a great year. Defensive line. They got Sue. They got Fairley. They got, seems like there's another guy missing. Is Vanderbosch still on the lines? I think Vanderbosch's still on the lines. So they got him, and it's like, it's just hard to see the Lions not improve. Maybe finish, get 6 to 8 wins this year. So 8's probably stretching it, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit pulled a Miami Dolphins and had like a huge turnaround. If you don't remember, the Dolphins had that huge turnaround back in, I don't know what year that was. I'm sure Big Rat would know. But 3rd place. Let's see. 3rd place. I really liked I don't know if you guys remember, but I really liked the Bears last year. Actually before the season, I think I said Super Bowl pick was Bears Patriots. Of course, Bears didn't even make the playoffs, but I just really like the Bears. It just all falls on Jay Cutler and what that offense can do. I like the defense, but can the offense get it done? And can Forte stay healthy? Can Jay Cutler even stay healthy and produce big wins for them? So I think I like Minnesota at 3rd and Chicago at 2. Minnesota, to be honest, to me, made the playoffs on one person only, and that's Adrian Peterson. Not saying he's going to drop off this year, but I do think that he's going to maybe come back down to earth a little bit. But he's still going to be a great running back, one of the top guys in the league.
The best.
Definitely should. The best in the league. Yeah, that's pretty simple to say that. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's he's going to have the kind of year he had last year, but he's easily going to be in the top 5, if not the best. Which he looks. If you had to guess, I mean, he's obviously going number 1 in draft, so that tells you right there. But I don't think that he's going to be able to carry this team. They do have Greg Jennings this year, but and Greg Jennings, for whatever reason, is talking smack about a top quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Whatever, giving Skip Bayless fuel, but that's just something I just wanted to add in there. But Greg Jennings, good luck, because you got Christian Ponder throwing you the ball, which I guess he's gonna start unless Matt Castle's getting the start. I don't even know. But either one, whoever starts, I don't think Minnesota's winning this year or getting in the playoffs at all. So I have Chicago finishing second, Minnesota third. I think Minnesota drops down about 8-8 or so, maybe 7-9. But I got Chicago going second. They could make the playoffs, but I think they'll have to battle with New Orleans and or the Giants for that spot. But I like the Saints over them anyway. But so Chicago finishing second, and I got Green Bay, of course, winning this division. But I don't know if they made any improvements to the offensive line, but I hope for Aaron Rodgers' sake they did. I really think Aaron Rodgers has become a guy like Tom Brady, like Peyton Manning, who doesn't really matter his receivers. He's going to make them into stars. He's made Jordy Nelson, in my opinion. He's made James Jones. He's made seems like I'm missing somebody. But anyways, Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Greg Jennings, which he's going to be without this year, but not much from last year because Greg Jennings got hurt last year. So, but I still think, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to find a way, but hopefully the offensive line, for his sake, is better this year. I don't think Green Bay is a Super Bowl team or anything like that. But I do think they're going to win this division. I don't know if I'll say easily, but I confidently will use that word. So I like Green Bay to win the division and go on to the playoffs. So I think that's about it. I think that's all I want to say.
I don't know how accurate this thing is. How many games did how many games did the Packers win last year?
11.
11, and the 49ers also won 11. Okay. Okay. They asked for Fail Mary, the Bears still would not have made it because Seattle beat them. And so Seattle had the tiebreaker over the Bears. And Seattle still would have made the playoffs. And Seattle still would have gotten the 5th seed because Seattle beat the Vikings. So Seattle, if you take away that loss, they're still the 5th seed going into the playoffs, and the Vikings are still the 6th seed going into the playoffs.
Okay, I think you're right about Seattle, but I think Chicago would have made the playoffs over Minnesota, but I don't know. It seems like
I don't know how that works, but
yeah,
maybe. But
it's not that important. The season's over now.
Yeah. But basically, the only thing that was good was that the only thing that was impacted was that the Packers, had they won that game, would have gotten the first round bye instead of the 49ers.
Okay, right.
And so the Green Bay San Francisco game would have been in Green Bay rather than San Francisco, though I still think the Niners won that game because Colin Kaepernick was just incredible that game, if you remember that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not a big deal, but that was the final impact of the Fail Mary. And now my turn with the NFC North. I think the Packers are winning this division. I think they're winning 13 games this year. I was very close to putting them at my NFC winners because I think the run game is going to get a lot better. I was just reading an article on how they're going to run more, and if they really establish it with Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin, then that means that Aaron Rodgers can be more effective in play-action passes. So,
which he's great at.
Yes. So, if they really are committed to improving the run, I think they'll be really good. Eddie Lacy has looked really good. I like the Packers a lot. I think they're winning 13 games here. I think they're going to the NFC Championship game. The Bears I have coming in second. I think they're going to do exactly as well as they did last year. But like you, I think the Vikings drop off a little bit, and the Bears win 10 games. And the Bears, Mark Trestman's a very good coach. He coached the Montreal Alouettes in the CFL, who, if you don't know, are like the New England Patriots in the CFL. They have won like multiple Super Bowls and are one of the top teams every year. Or not Super Bowl, whatever the fucking term they use. Grey Cup?
Yeah, I think it's a Grey Cup.
Yeah. But I think I think the Bears are going to be really good. I think Mark Trestman, he's apparently an offensive guru as well, like Chudzinski and North Turner. So I think Jay Cutler is going to have a better season this year. And I think if he gets better and that line gets better, the Bears will get a lot better because that defense, you always know what that's going to give you. So I have the Bears winning 10 games. I have the Vikings winning 9. I have the Vikings being still a very good team because Adrian Peterson is that talented, but he's a running back. Running backs are always liable to injury, and I just don't trust Christian Ponder. He got better, but I still don't think he's that good. So there's that. And I have the Lions winning 6 games. They're going to get a little better, but I don't know why so many people are having them win 8, 9 games. I mean, what happened? They got Reggie Bush. So that defense still has a lot of question marks. And they lost Cliff Avril.
I didn't know that. Well,
yeah, I just don't get it. Yeah, Reggie Bush isn't even going to establish the run for them. They're just going to throw it to him a lot. Stafford's still going to throw like 60 times a game. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about them. I think they're going to win 6 games. I think they're going to get better, but I don't know why so many people are like in love with them. I don't trust Jim Schwartz, and the defense has a lot of questions. I think their 2011 season may have been a fluke because it was the lockout season. And for those who do know, the lockout season meant that defenses didn't get to get fully adjusted to the schemes. And that's why you had 3 quarterbacks throw for 5,000 yards. And that's why I thought they could get away with their offense because many defenses weren't adjusted enough that they could throw 60 times a game and make the playoffs. I don't think it's like that anymore. And I think this team's going to struggle again this year. Reggie Bush is going to do really well for them, but they're still not going to win more than 6 games in my opinion. So yeah, that concludes our division breakdown. Phil, who wins the AFC? Who wins the NFC?
All right, man. This is something. This is hard on both sides to me this year, and I think that no matter what I say, I'm probably going to be wrong. We'll go to the NFC side first. I really think it's down to 3 teams this year. I like the Saints, but I don't think the Saints are gonna compete with these other 3 teams. I think it's down to the Falcons, the 49ers, and Seattle. I really think Harbaugh is gonna get that extra edge for San Francisco. So I think that kind of knocks. I want to knock Seattle off 3rd. I really think Atlanta has the talent to do it. It's just a question of will they do it. So the safe bet, of course, is to go to San Francisco, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Atlanta does it this year. They go to the Super Bowl and they're going to have to. It's going to be tough, but because San Francisco and Seattle, if they have to go, they probably most likely won't have to go through both. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I went with the Falcons last year. They won 1 game and then lost in the championship game. But I'm going to go with the Falcons preseason this year, and we'll see what happens. Probably going to mean they're not even going to make the playoffs. So that's what happened to the Bears for me last year. So we'll see. But I'm going to go out on a limb on the NFC and say Falcons. AFC is tough for me because, to me, obviously, I'm always going to want to pick the Patriots. I'm always going to want to say the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl. To me, would it shock me if the Patriots go to the Super Bowl? No, of course it wouldn't. I think that with Belichick and Brady and all those elements, you're always going to have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But right out, I don't think that they're a favorite for like the number 1 favorite. Even in my eyes, of course, they're the number 1 favorite. But in a consensus, unbiased pick, I'm going to try to make an unbiased pick. I'm trying, and I think if I have to go with a team, I have to say Denver is a clear-cut favorite to win in the AFC. So I'm going to go with the favorite and say Denver wins. I hate it. It eats me alive that I'm not picking the Patriots, but I'm going to go with Denver winning. So because I'm hoping to be wrong. So I can just eat my words and Patriots go to the Super Bowl. But if there's any year not to pick the Patriots, I just think talent-wise I have to go with Denver. But talent-wise, you don't always win. I mean, talent-wise, they didn't think Ravens were going to win. So, I'm not saying Ravens didn't have talent, but the favorites were everybody thought it was going to be Denver, New England AFC Championship game, and Ravens had other plans. So, I'm just saying like that can happen this year. So. We'll see. I do think it's between Denver and New England. I really do. I just don't have faith in Houston. And I honestly hope Houston shuts me up because I like Houston. I really do. I know it sounds like on here I probably hate Houston. I don't. I just don't trust. Shut up like you don't trust Matt Ryan. So it's kind of like that. Yeah. I'm putting my trust in Matt Ryan. You're putting your trust in Matt Schaub. So we'll see who we'll let me calm down. We will definitely get to prove. One of us will be proven. Will be left in the dust, and so either the Texans will go to the Super Bowl or the Falcons will, or they both won't, and we'll both be sitting here crying. Well, I won't be crying, but we'll both be like, well, both are the quarterbacks we put trust in failed. But I'm gonna go with Denver versus Atlanta. I hope I'm wrong, of course. I hope it's New England versus anybody really. But we'll see what happens. Sometimes you just have to put your fanhood to the side and let the analysts come out in you, and that's what I'm doing this time. So y'all be proud of it. Y'all be proud of me because it ain't gonna happen often.
Very true.
Markeem is probably like feigning right now as he listens when he listens to this. So, what? Bill didn't pick New England. And I'll say this because we talk about it all the time before you can make your pick. New England's always the #1 overall favorite. I don't know if they are this year.
Oh my god!
But they are always the favorite. This year, I don't see it. I don't see how you can put New England as the #1. I mean, and I'm not saying they've won with teams like this before, so I'm not saying that. Well, the defense was a lot better, but at the same time, like offensive side of the ball, I think they can win with average receivers, and they can win. Stephen Ridley's great, so I mean they can do that, and they have Brady. And Belichick's mine and Josh McDaniels, they can do it. But what I'm saying is, on paper, and that's what a prediction has to come by, because you have nothing else to prove except for last year, So I don't see how you can be on paper the Patriots are #1. Trust me, I agree with you. I hope they are #1. But on paper, no. So.
I'm so proud of Phil right now for putting his bias aside like that. Like, I'm grinning from year to year right now. So there's that. I personally like the Texans out of the AFC. I think it's down to Texans and Denver. And there really is no reason for me to say it's not going to be Denver. I just think the Texans, if Brian Cushing, J.J. Watt, Andre Johnson, and Aaron Foster stay healthy, I mean, I think this is just the year where they pull the trigger. I think this is the year, like the Packers, or not like the Packers, like the Cowboys. I don't see the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl or anything, but I think this is the year that everything comes together for Houston. And I think this is the year that Matt Schaub proves all the haters wrong and goes to the Super Bowl. I could be completely off on that. Understand? I'm going out on a limb and I'm picking the Texans. And the NFC, I'm picking the Seahawks. I know it's generic, but, I mean, I don't know. They're just so talented. And Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, in my opinion. And at the last 2 weeks of the season, they looked unbeatable last year. And, hell, they arguably should have won the Atlanta game. Now, there's definitely questions with Pete Carroll's coaching. So there's definitely that. But I think Seattle's good enough to go all the way. Because Pete Carroll's a great coach. He's a great coach, but he coached a bad game against the Falcons. So I trust, but he's enough of a great coach, right? I don't think it'll be an issue. So, yeah, I had the Texans and the Seahawks in my Super Bowl with the Seahawks winning. Who do you have winning yours?
Winning, I got the Falcons winning it all.
Okay. So...
and one thing I wanted to add about Denver, which is why I would hesitate to not pick them, but I'm trying not to use that part into it. I don't trust John Fox. I personally think that's why they lost the last game. We went over that. Yeah. So he can screw it up for him. So if Denver doesn't make it, I'm almost guaranteed I know why they didn't make it. It's going to be because of John Fox. But which I understand he's not used to having a quarterback like that. But, so we'll see.
All right.
I got Atlanta over Denver. We'll see what happens.
Atlanta over Denver, Seattle over Houston. Now let's do our most overrated and underrated team. Who's your most overrated team going into the season, in your opinion?
Most overrated team going into this season? Man, that's a tough one.
It doesn't have to be blatantly overrated. It could be slightly overrated.
Trying to think of a team that everybody's got really high and I don't really... I'll say that this is going to sound weird because I have them winning the division, but I think Cincinnati, if I'm just looking at it, and this might change like literally the second this show ends, but I'm going to have Cincinnati as a little bit overrated. As to me, I don't see a whole lot of overrated out there. I'm going to say Cincy's overrated because I think a lot of people are just giving them the division, wrapping it up, and I know I gave them the division too.
That's a fair statement.
I think people are overlooking which we'll get to that, but are overlooking the Ravens. They're still the Ravens. They just won the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to drop off too much. And then the Bengals aren't. I mean, Andy Dalton's not that guy that's going to go out there and dominate a division. So I mean, they could lose some key games, and bam, they're the wild card instead of the division winner. So I think if I had to say, and this, like I said, not very overrated, just a little bit. I think I would lean towards them, and I do think. Let's see if I had to throw in another one. I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. I would say they're a little overrated. That's from what I've heard. That's some more praise that I don't agree with. So
Chris Mortensen ranked them as third in the AFC.
Wow, yeah, that's overrated. Well, no, yeah, that's over. Oh no, yeah, that's overrated. I don't know if it was New England. It's easily Denver, New England, and Houston, whatever order you want to put them in. So yeah, I would say they're overrated. But like I said, not much overrated. It's just I don't see. There's not a team out there that people think are going to do great that I don't. Or that I don't think. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, not flustered.
All right. My most overrated team is going to be the Saints. I like them a lot. I think they're going to win 10 games, but I have a lot of people like picking them to go to the Super Bowl and stuff, and having them going really high, and I just don't trust them. I think it was it Mark Ressler, who I trust and who I think is a really good writer, or Mark Sessler, I forget his name. Someone on NFL.com wrote an article saying that the Saints were going to go to the Super Bowl and Drew Brees was going to win MVP. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
I think the Saints are really good. I just think a lot of people are just giving them a lot of praise, completely just expecting Rob Ryan to turn the worst defense in NFL history into a decent one. Not even a decent one from the worst in NFL history. Not a bad defense to a decent one. The worst in NFL history to a decent one. That's asking a lot of just Rob Ryan. I mean, and they lost Melvin Ingram to an injury. Jonathan Vilma's going to be on the IR, designated to return.
Whoa, they lost Ingram?
Melvin Ingram, yeah.
Oh, Melvin Ingram.
Oh, wait, no, Melvin Ingram plays for the Chargers.
I was about to say.
They lost this other fucking linebacker. I forget his name, who's out for the year. I don't trust the Saints. I trust them enough to win 10 games because they're that talented. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I don't think that they're going to be Super Bowl favorites this year or anything like that. So I guess the Saints would be my most overrated, quote unquote. Who's your most underrated?
Most underrated team. Most underrated. I think I'm gonna have a tie here. Let's see, make sure. It's hard because they always get praise, and you're probably gonna hate me for saying this, but because they always get their praise. But I would say a lot of people are kind of writing off the Patriots in some aspects. I'm not saying they're writing them off and thinking they're gonna just suck, but I think some people are just thinking that the offense is not gonna. Now you have some thinking the total opposite, thinking they're gonna be just as good, but as far as their offense, but. I don't know if I'd say they're the most underrated. I'm gonna change my mind. I do think the Patriots are getting some bit of underratedness, if that makes any sense. But I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I still think, and I know I have them possibly missing the playoffs, but I think that that people are still underrating the fact that they still have some talent on that team. So I'm gonna stick with the Ravens, saying that a lot of people are underrating them, and just thinking that they're just gonna drop off the face of the earth, which a lot of people think. Which I think they're going to suffer, and I have them, fighting for a playoff spot. But I think that people might be underrating them a little bit. That's a hard question for me.
My most underrated is probably, and I know it's not really saying a lot because I don't exactly think they're going to be like that good. My most underrated is probably the Dolphins, but I don't want to say that because it's biased. So I guess my most underrated would be the Jaguars, and the only reason I say that is because many people say they're arguably the worst team in the NFL, the least talented team in the NFL. I think they're much better than the Raiders. I think they're better than the Chargers. I think they're better than the Bills. I think they're better than the Jets. They might even be better than Carolina, for all I know, by season's end.
Wow. Wow.
Maybe that one's a stretch.
They're definitely your underrated team then.
But maybe that one's a stretch. But I do not think they're the worst team in the NFL. I think they're getting too much hate. I think Gabbert's going to be a little better. I trust Jed Fish a lot. I trust Gus Bradley a lot. And, they had some talent. Cecil Shorts and Justin Blackman were doing really well for them towards the end of the year. Blackman, I know, suspended for a few games, but Jones, remember, people also forget they had Maurice Jones-Drew out for most of the season last year, and he's their best player. And now he's coming back. So, yeah, I don't think the Jaguars are going to be as bad as most people think. I guess they'd be my most underrated. I still don't have them being a good team or anything, but they're absolutely not going to be as horrible as people say they are, in my opinion. So that'd be my most underrated. Who's your MVP prediction?
MVP prediction. Let's see. I might go bold on this one. I'm going to go bold. I think I am going to go bold on this one. I'm going to go Matt Ryan as my bold MVP prediction. I'm going to go Matt Ryan, which is not crazy bold, but considering your favorites in Peyton and AP and things like that. So I'm going to go Matt Ryan as my bold MVP.
I have two. I've been going back and forth on this. It's either going to be Peyton Manning or Russell Wilson, in my opinion. Yeah, there's bold for you. You know what? You know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say Russell Wilson. I think they're going to have the best record in the NFL, and I think he's going to have a great season. So I think he's going to get the love and recognition for that. And yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say Russell Wilson wins the MVP this year.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm very high on Russell Wilson, but
I hear that. It feels like. Well, I hope you're right because I have him in fantasy, so I hope you're right.
I have him in 3 leagues. I better be high on him. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, never count out Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has the most MVPs in NFL history for a reason. You know, he is very talented. But I don't know. I can't really describe why. I think Russell Wilson wins this year. Am I confident in it? Not really. It's more of a gut feeling, but I'm so high on the Seahawks. I'm so high on him. I'm betting the ranch on them. I have them winning the Super Bowl. I have him winning MVP. They're in 3 of my 4 fantasy leagues. You know, I like Russell Wilson and I like the Seahawks a lot. I think their defense is super talented. I think Marshawn Lynch has the I think Marshawn Lynch is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I'll give it to Russell Wilson. Fuck. Maybe I'll give it to Peyton Manning because.
Oh no! I was thinking it was Russell.
I know. I'm thinking about it. This is hard because Marshawn Lynch is probably going to rush for 1,600 yards. So like,
right. That's true.
Marshawn Lynch gets more carries than Russell Wilson gets passes. So like, maybe they'll find an excuse not to give it to Russell Wilson because of that. I don't know. This is a very tough decision. Actually, just thinking about that, I might switch it to Peyton Manning. Yeah, I think I'm going to switch it to Peyton Manning. But anyways, Peyton Manning or Russell Wilson will win that award, in my opinion. Phil has Matt Ryan. I'm going to write in my record, I'm going to write Russell Wilson / Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning would be my final answer, though. Peyton.
And if I had a second guy, mine would be Peyton too. So.
Okay. Next we have the sophomore slump, possible not sophomore slump quarterbacks. Bunch of new quarterbacks this week. Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck. I mean, not new quarterbacks. Quarterbacks having their second season or their first season. Colin Kaepernick, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, RG3, Cam Newton, Ryan Tannehill, Geno Smith, and Terrell Pryor. Out of that bunch, first start with the sophomores. Luck, Wilson, RG3, Cap, and Tannehill. How do you think they'll play this year?
I know I'm going to be wrong with one of these guys, and I hope it's not. I hope it's not any of them. But I do think I actually honestly think they're all going to do fine. Will they have their struggles? Yeah. I think if anyone you can point to, of course, because of injury, RG3 is the most likely to slump. But I don't like Cap, Wilson, Luck, Tannehill, or RG3 to slump. I don't like either of them to slump. I don't think they will. But if I had to point to someone, I'd say RG3 just because of injury. But I think they'll all do fine. Like I said, they'll struggle. I think Luck will probably have more of the struggles than anything else, maybe even Tannehill. But I think Mike Wallace is going to help Tannehill a lot, and Luck, having a better running game to follow with him as well. So we'll see. But I think that they're all gonna do fine. I think they have a chance that all of them make the playoffs if RG3 stayed healthy. So there's pretty quick thoughts on those, but that's just kind of how I feel.
I think Cam might struggle a little bit, mainly because he lost some offensive weapons, but I still think by the end of the season he'll get back in true form. The thing with Cam Newton is last year everyone says he had a sophomore slump, but the last 7 weeks of the season, that dude was fucking great. They went like 7-1 the last few weeks of the season. Like, he played awesome. And no one remembers that. People only focus on those first 6 weeks when he was playing terrible. I guess first 8 weeks, for being realistic. But he started playing awesome to end the season. They finished 7-9 for a reason. He was the top fantasy quarterback last year towards the end. He was just as good as Kaepernick, Wilson, Luck, and RG3. I swear to God. So I think Cam's going to struggle this year after saying all that because he lost Chudzinski. But Cap, I think, will struggle at first, but I think by the end of the season he'll get back to true form. Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck, I think, will be fine. RG3, because of the injury, I think he's going to take a slight step back, but I think he'll be back to true form by next year. My thing with RG3 is just he may get hurt again. That's the scary part. Tannehill, I think, is going to play a lot better. Obviously, I'm biased, but he's improved a lot. 98 quarterback rating this preseason. So I think he's going to do really well. Geno Smith and Terrell Pryor, I think Geno's going to really struggle. I feel bad for him, too, because I like him. I think he's really talented, but he plays on a really bad offense, and it's really going to hurt his development. And like Markeem said when he did his draft breakdown back in April, with Geno, when Geno fucks up, he keeps fucking up. When it rains, it pours. He doesn't know how to stop the bleeding. When he throws one interception, he'll probably throw 2 to 3 more because he gets really bummed about himself. But I like him a lot. I hope he does well. I'm worried about him. I'm worried that he's going to stink up the joint, but I hope he starts playing well. And I look forward to seeing his season. Hope I'm wrong, but I think he's going to struggle this year. Terrell Pryor just plays on a really bad team. I feel bad for him. Like I said, he's not going to have a bad reputation this year. But in my opinion, also his accuracy isn't all there. So I think he'll struggle with that. I do think he'll rack up a lot of rushing yards, but I don't trust the Raiders, and I don't trust Terrell Pryor to do much because he's always such a bad team, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my thoughts on all those quarterbacks. We'll see. The ones that I think are the lucks to do well, obviously pun intended, are Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck. The ones that I think are more likely to struggle are Geno Smith and Cam Newton. So yeah, that's that. Next, finally, we'll preview some of the big games this week. And obviously, it's week 1. It's kind of hard
to... by the way, I didn't say my stuff on Geno and Pryor, but I kind of agree. I do agree with what you said. I think they're both going to struggle. Good luck, Geno, with the Jets offense, and good luck, Pryor. And I don't really like Pryor at all. So it's definitely not on the Raiders. So just want to add that real quick, but I agree.
All right, so... All right. Big games this weekend. Again, it's hard to determine what is and isn't a big game, but I have a few listed here. By a few listed here, I mean I'm currently searching up NFL.com while typing into the Word document the ones that I think are big games while I'm currently speaking right now. Isn't that amazing? First, we'll start off with the Thursday night game, the season opener, Baltimore-Denver. What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a great game. I'm excited. It's going to start off the season. I think both teams will come out strong in that game, but I think that the Broncos win this game. They just have more talent, and really not much to say. It's too early in the season to really tell, to have too much thoughts process into it. But based on last season and all the changes and losses and gains and all that, I think Broncos win, and hopefully John Fox doesn't screw it up for him again. Actually, I don't care, but you know.
All right, I think the Broncos win too. I think they're a better team, and they're at home too, which is big help. And yeah, I think pretty handily they win. Bears and Bengals.
Bears and Bengals. I'm gonna go with the. Where's this at?
It's in Chicago.
In Chicago, I like the Bears. I'm gonna pick the Bears to win this one. I think they'll start off strong in this game, and I don't know if Andy Dalton's ready to start his first game against the Bears, so I'm gonna go with Bears. Not his first game, but you know what I'm saying.
Falcons Saints. Oh, Bengals Bears. I also picked the Bears because they're at home. Falcons Saints.
Dang, Falcons Saints week 1. Man, that's brutal. Falcons Saints week 1. I'm gonna go with the Falcons just because I think Sean Payton and Rob Bryan having to get everything together might slip a little bit in the first game. So I'm gonna give the edge to the Falcons in that game.
All right. I'm gonna go to the Falcons too. Actually, the Saints are, like I've said multiple times, are a horrible defensive team. It's gonna take a while for them to get it all together, and I think they're gonna struggle this first week. They will probably get better. I do have them winning 10 games, but at the start of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they start out like 2-2, 2-3, because their defense is going to have to get adjusted to the new schemes that Rob Ryan's going to institute. So yeah, I'd go Falcons there as well. Packers 49ers.
Packers 49ers. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Niners. I think they're wanting to start the season off hot. It could go either way, but I think San Francisco's going to get the edge in week 1. I know I don't have much to say on these games, but it's kind of hard. You don't really have a lot to go off.
Yeah, it's early. I'm picking the Niners as well. I think the Packers, also a notoriously slow defensive team, is going to also struggle in the first week. But, I still think they're going to be a very good team, obviously. I have them going to the NFC Championship game. but they're going to struggle early on. Expect Eddie Lacy to have a good day, though. That'd be my bold prediction, quote unquote. Giants Cowboys.
Giants Cowboys. Last time this happened, the Cowboys seemed to win, so I'm gonna go with the Cowboys on this one. It just seems like, and it's Sunday Night Football. It seems like this is the only time this is when Dallas likes to shine for some reason. So we're gonna give it to Dallas, and plus it's at home, so we'll give it to Dallas.
I agree with you there. Final game: Eagles Redskins.
Eagles Redskins. I think Redskins pull it out. I think RG3 is going to struggle. But with the first game with Chip Kelly, I mean, it would just shock me if the Eagles came out and won. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout to Washington, but I do think Washington should have more of a established pieces together. As long as RG3 can stay healthy. If he's out the game, then you might as well hand it to Philly. So we'll see. This will be a statement game from Chip Kelly. I mean, I know it's week 1, but if he can come out and beat Washington, the division champs last year, that would be a statement and a half. So.
I think the Eagles are going to win. I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think that it's RG3's first game back, and injury aside, like he hasn't played a football game in so many months. I think it's going to take him a while to get adjusted. I think Chip Kelly. I don't think they're going to be like amazing this year, but I do think he's going to institute some new things, and I think they're going to be most effective at the start. I think the first week, no one's really going to know how to prepare for them, and that's when his offensive schemes are going to show really well. And I think they take the Redskins in a surprise in Washington. Just my opinion, of course.
I'll tell you, it'll be a good game. Monday Night Football. So.
Hell yeah. So that does it for us. That is our NFL preview of YouTube Take. I will try to get this up as soon as I can. You guys will probably hear this on Wednesday. I don't think I can really get it up tonight, but I'll try to get it up tomorrow morning. But anyways, that's me, Big Red 10, with my partner here.
Nightmare 10. And that's our first show of the season, y'all.
We hope you all enjoyed it.
Looking forward to a great one.
Oh, by the way, Canes are going to beat the Gators this weekend. Yeah, looking forward to a great one. Bye.
Let's go Gamecocks.